She had probably had maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep in the previous 40 hours or so. And she admitted she was very tired. She was aware that she was nodding off behind the wheel, and she thought that she could get home before she fell asleep. And the consequences were disastrous. It was the middle of the afternoon and a bright, sunny day. My son Kevin was riding his bicycle. He was on the shoulder of the road coming home from having played tennis with his friends. She had been working all night and most of the previous day, and she nodded off just long enough to veer off the road. His head hit the windshield of her car, and he was thrown about 15 or 20 feet from the car into some bushes off the side of the road. When she realized that she had hit something, she stopped the car and she thought that she had hit a mailbox or a tree, and then she sped away. My wife and I left the house to go do some shopping and drove up on the scene of the accident. And I realized that it involved Kevin when I saw his bicycle by the side of the road. They informed us that he had suffered a very serious head injury. And on Monday, a day and a half later, we were told that he was effectively brain dead. We removed him from life support later that afternoon.
Kevin Mackey. First of all, I want to graduate from a good college and then become a professional soccer player.
He was the youngest of 4. He had 3 older sisters. They really loved him, and they doted on him. He was very bright, very precocious, just a very typical boy, and I loved him very much. The woman who was responsible for hitting him returned when she was able to admit to herself what she had done and turned herself in. There was a trial. She was charged with 3 misdemeanor counts because she wasn't drunk, she wasn't speeding, and by law, her negligence was not considered to be as serious as if she had been drinking. She got 6 months work release, jail time, and she was fined $1,000 or so. Her mistake was in not recognizing that she was tired and that she was impaired. Just prior to the sentencing hearing, my wife gave her a picture of Kevin as a reminder of what we had lost and what Kevin had lost. Kevin lost his life, and she was responsible for it. And she's going to have to live with that for the rest of her life.
Maggie was the baby in the family. She was everybody's baby.
This is the road where the fight against sleepy drivers was born. This is the road where 20-year-old Maggie McDonald was killed in a head-on collision. Her mother mourned, and then she started a movement to change the law.
She was life at the party. Actually, 3 years old, she was dancing on the coffee table. She loved to show off. And then as she got older, she was beautiful and sexy, and she knew how to play the room. She turned all eyes when she walked by you.
A driver who had been awake for 30 hours swerved across a New Jersey highway and slammed head-on into her car. Remarkably, the driver who killed Maggie got off with a $200 fine.
She was 20 years old. She was in college with hopes to be a social worker. She was Daddy's little girl.
You can never forget that pain that you feel every day and the loss. My father has just, he'll never recover. It was horrible to see your father just sob and cry. He identified her body, and he'll never, ever recover from that. I was told that, she died from massive injuries, and you just can't get that out of your head.
My husband had a stroke after he identified her body. My children lost their baby sister. Her boyfriend lost the love of his life. Her friends were devastated. All her friends and her boyfriend's families, it affects everyone. No one's life is the same after this.
New Jersey now has a law that makes driving while sleep deprived a crime in fatal accidents. The law is named for Carol McDonald's daughter, Maggie.
The man that killed Maggie, he was impaired, and he fell asleep at the wheel. And there's no law in the state of New Jersey stating you can't do this. As the defense attorney hammered to the jury over and over. There's no law stating you can't sleep and drive. I decided to change the law.
After the second trial, we were devastated, and at that point, we had given up close to 4 years of our lives, and my mom was having a really hard time, and she then decided to go speak with a politician because we just knew that this man had not been punished for what he had done.
He admitted in court that he knew he was too tired to drive, which is not acceptable to me.
We now have Maggie's Law.
It took 3.5 years, but she was able to get this law passed.
New Jersey State Senator Stephen Sweeney wrote Maggie's Law.
You can go to jail for up to 10 years, $150,000 fine. It's much more severe than just getting a DUI.
And Maggie's Law may soon be a federal statute to combat what's become a national epidemic.
Today with this law, God willing, we move forward to correct this injustice, not only in New Jersey, but set a benchmark throughout the nation.
Like I said, not guilty doesn't mean innocent. He broke every rule in the book, but he didn't break the law because there wasn't a law. But there is now, and it's Maggie's Law.
It's devastating to have your child killed. It destroys your life. You're never the same person. If you're too tired to drive, you're an impaired driver. Impaired drivers kill people. Get off of the road, pull over, take a rest, or don't even get behind the wheel. Just because you're tired doesn't give you the right to kill someone.